All right, peace and love, beautiful souls. High vibrations to you all. Tonight, I will be going in on this Taurus energy that we're shifting into. You know, what happens during new moon energies is what's called the ingress into the energy. All right. So, as we're ingressing into the energy of Taurus, we witness a new moon. This happens with every shift into a zodiac sign. A new moon kind of initiates going into a zodiac sign if you pay attention, and then the full moon illuminates that. All right. So we're shifting into this Taurus season, which is going to be heavy on self value, self worth. The themes of Taurus are powerful in this reality. um some of the ways that we've been removed from, I would say, our connection to nature, our connection to certain parts of ourselves. Taurus is very huge in connection to our teenage years. And I talked about before how Taurus deals with the adolescent, right? So a lot of us, on this call, a lot of us grew up before our time. By the time some of us were teenagers, we were doing grown up activities, before even some of us, knew how to even be acclimated to our bodies. We were exploring it with other people. You know what I mean? So this can create a lot of memory exchange, right? Because the body holds memory, and sex is an exchange of memory. Even an exchange of pheromones, hormones, all these different things. So the hormonal aspects of the body is heavily linked to the energy of Taurus because it's heavily linked to the energy of Venus. And when you're dealing with these aspects, it has a lot to do with what you eat becomes you. This is why Taurus loves to snack and eat food. All right. The Taurian energy can also deal with the food that we decide to eat every day, the everyday needs that we have, right? How we want a steak, but you might just can afford noodles. Right? Like that can be heavily connected to your Taurus placement. How you grew up, did you get a lot of what you want when you grew up, or was it a lot of what your parents wanted you to have? You see what I'm saying? So even a lot of times children who were spoiled, right? Most children who are spoiled, and a lot of parents, a lot of y'all are parents on this call, most of the time when you spoil a child, they don't value anything, right? They think they feel entitled. So that when you dealing with that sense of somebody feel like they had to work for everything or somebody that was given everything, this can be heavily influenced by your Taurus or your second house placement, right? How some people feel like they don't want to go out there and use their hands. So how some people might not ever find themselves doing certain hard jobs, warehouse jobs, tilling the land, right? Doing things that deals with being outside in the environment and working the land, right? It has a lot to do with the energy of Taurus. Even dealing with real estate, agriculture, all right? So this energy of Taurus also deals with the neck, and we also bringing in the aspect of where it governs the throat chakra. But Taurus is more so heavily connected to the heart chakra, all right? And it has a lot to do with how our thymus, right, which is also linked to the thyroid, the thalamus, and also going to be going up into your pituitary or pineal glands. It has a lot to do with your immune system. See, this is why the foods that you eat can fortify your immune system and fortify your body, or they can break it down over time. This is why the highest sign of Earth represents Capricorn, which hence the first sign of Earth is Taurus, right? So when you grow the foods versus how you harvest it, how you can use the seed, how can you use every part of the food that you have? That is the aspect of a Saturnian energy, right? It's like the whole trunk of the tree. The tree is bearing fruit, is bearing leaves, is doing a lot of different things. But the way the tree knows to grow as a tree, the memory, the depths of the memory. See, this is why Taurus energy can also deal with memory blockages, right? It could be a lot of things that Taurus energy can be equated to when it comes to how we acclimate ourselves to this materialistic realm and our relationship with scarcity, lack, right? With our relationship with our self worth, our self values. So that's kind of like the general aspects of what Taurus can mean. But when you come into your personal life and your relationship with Taurus, remember it's gonna be your relationship on how you acclimate yourself to money and currency and how hard you work for shit. This is why people get paid on Fridays, right? Friday is a Venus day. You can feel a lot of tiring energy. People going shopping, people dress up, even at work, they tell you you can go ahead and wear some jeans. You get what I'm saying? Jean day at work, all that good shit. You get what I'm saying? So these things equate to the comforts of life. But the very same things that can make us comfortable can be your demise. This is why tyrant energy can represent our laziness, our procrastination. You know, Taurus is a very loving. Now you got Tauruses can be very clean if they want to, but when Taurus don't want to clean, oh, they sweeping everything under the bed, telling you it's clean. You get what I'm saying? Like Taurus has this ability to kind of just sit on his ass until shit needs to be done. It's the bull. But when that bull gets in motion, you know, y'all don't watch the running of the bulls. If y'all ever pay attention to how the matador and dealing with the bulls, right? Whenever those aspects of the bull shows up and that bull sees red, right? And that bull is fixed on a destination. See, that's why you cannot tell a Taurus what to do. You have to use the power of suggestion. So how somebody can suggest something to you, how you can be in a place to be like not wanting to do something, and then before you know it, somebody say, "Well, I'm gonna be cooking this," and you be like, "Oh yeah, well since you cooking that, I'll be over there." See, when you get together on food, so you see what food can do to people. You know how when we come together when we dine, what happens after somebody transitions, right? I just experienced a funeral and a wake again, right? So what usually happens when somebody transitions? We go to a repast, right? So the food is there. See, this is heavily connected to the influence of Taurus and Scorpio. So how we deal with the dead, how we feed the ancestors. See, this is why the moon exalts in Taurus or Cancer exalts in Taurus per se. And this is also dealing with the psychic ability that Taurus can carry. So when you're dealing with this energy of Taurus, it is connected to a lot of parts of you that are wanting to be navigating this reality from a place of trusting your senses. The senses ruled by Venus, the way we smell, touch, hear, see, right? So the way we physically interact with this reality based off the physical shit that can manifest, the mundane aspects. See, this is why the next sign is Gemini. Because after you have a comprehension of your body, you can start to have a deeper or a different thought process about this world. See, now the curiosity of the body comes into play. So when love is in your head, like I always say, you can crave it. The cravings that we have. The See, this why the other side of it can be your poison. The very same things that you love can be poisoning you. If you push a Taurus too hard, you get a Scorpio, right? The shadow side of Taurus will be Scorpio. It's kind of what I'm saying with that. So all what I want to do tonight, of course, I got the PDF. I'm going to go through that. But I really want people to be able to reflect on your relationship with Taurus. So y'all know how I get down when this is not about how we can generally conceptualize the energy of Taurus. This is not about that. This is about how you dance with the cosmic influences. And a full moon, a new moon, is all about introspection. So when you're dealing with a super new moon, this is one of the rarest new moons because this new moon only happens right after this new moon occurs when this happens every 11.11 years per se, every 11 years and 11 months. You have a new moon that occurs after this eclipse, after the pink full moon, right? So we coming into a new moon at this time of the year, and how it's so significant after an eclipse energy or during an eclipse season with a tyrant energy. What are we initiating, right? So the new moon is about initiation, about how deep you can go into your psychology. Remember, it's dark. It's the darkest phase of the moon. This is why tonight you will get the smiley face. The crescent moon is very symbolic with the nation of Islam. Don't they see the crescent? Don't you see the crescent moon as they with the star of Venus? That star with the crescent moon is a star of Venus. So when you get the aspect of the planet of Venus coming together with the energy of what we know as Saturn and these energies are conjunct the moon, and that creates the smiley face because the moon is in a crescent aspect. But what is smiling at you? I like to say fate. I like to say what you cannot escape: death. Saturn, father time. Venus deals with your blood regeneration. Venus deals with your relationship, like I just talked about, with your senses and how you balance everything out. Hence why Venus rules Libra, which also rules your kidneys and the waters of your body. Hence, every moon affects the waters of the body. So when you deal with a new moon, you can deal with a retreat. Anybody that lives near the ocean, go watch the ocean over the next 2 or 3 days. Really watch it over the next 7 days. It'll trip you out. How you will see the tides retracting. It's like are expanding and contracting at the same damn time. You can't make it up. I promise you, you can't make it up. The way the waters respond. See, this is why the moon is like a satellite. It amplifies, it enhances the state of your being and what's connected to your waters and your hormones. So this is why the sacral chakra, the emotional center, how during a new moon or a full moon, you can feel different ways. How even the feminine principle of women, right, go through the aspect of when they cycles change based off a new or a full moon cycle. Is it a heavy flow? Is it a light flow? See, all these things are showing you that we would not have any life on this planet if it wasn't for the menstrual cycles of the woman and the cycles of the moon. Those two forces are linked together, and they come together to create cycles of awareness of our bodies that we might not always present to be aware of, but a woman cannot escape this. This is why I always talk about women are the most emotionally intelligent creatures on this planet, simply because of that fact that they've been always having to be aware of their bodies. And it started in the adolescent years. Some women started at 10 before they even reached the age of 12. So these adolescent stages deal with the development of the brain, the body, right? The coherence of how we utilize what we have in this system. And when you don't know it, it consumes you. So hence when you don't know what to do and you don't know why your cycle is so heavy, right? You just feel like you cannot stop what's coming. So you don't know that if you eat more foods that have more zinc, more copper, more magnesium, more manganese, more things that can feed your blood and feed you on a mineral level, it'll help out tremendously with your menstrual cycles. The stress that you can experience. All right. All those different things can show you so much about the power of your cycles and the power of how we're connected to the energy of who we are and what we represent. All right. So that power is there. It is so dynamic when you embrace the power of the Taurus energy. Even in certain cultures, the Taurus energy started the zodiac wheel. All right. So literally, you will see Taurus at the beginning of the zodiac wheel, and this is the energy of when we deal with how the bull comes into play. This has a lot to do with the bull energy of Taurus, the head Haru, and how the cow goddess would nurture you, and how the reverencings of the cows deal with India, right? And this is also going to deal with the energy of Shiva as well. Shiva has a lot to do with Taurus because it represents duality and the demiurge. All right. So Taurus has a lot to do with the demiurge because that's where we embrace our relationship with this mundane reality and with this material reality. All right. So when you fall in love with being human, when it's like on the movie when you see the gods and they fall to earth, and then you see the gods and they start making love with the humans and they start falling into human activity and they like, damn, they didn't realize that the human life came with so much feeling in it, so much pleasure, and the cake could taste so good, and the pies and the sweetness of life. And then you deal with something called ambrosia and all these different things, right? The foods of the gods. So when you're dealing with the pleasure centers, right, human nature will always gravitate more towards pleasure than it ever will pain. This has a lot to do with the energy of Taurus. So those comfort zones, the things that have been making you procrastinate, the things that you've been saying I'm gonna wait to do, right? When it comes to change, when it comes to initiating something that can help you build more stability and be more grounded out here, right? So that's the theme for tonight: being grounded and being stable. Um, you will see some other things that I got, here in the PDF as well that'll help us kind of navigate through these energies and break them down, and make them make sense for you on an interpersonal level, even in relation to your birth chart. And for those of you who did pay in full, all right, once again, you will be getting a breakdown of your money houses. So if you do still want to pay in full, of course you can do that. If you just want to send a donation or send something to my cash app, send the $99, I would say. So those of you who did pay in full, you will be getting a complete breakdown of your money houses, which is in relation to your second, your fifth, and your 10th house. All right. Now I got a treat for y'all tonight. We'll also be going over something called God's Bank. All right. And I'll tell y'all what that looks like. That's the actual thing. All right. So it tripped me out when I was like, wow, that just makes sense. It's right in alignment for this new moon, to even talk about that kind of energy of knowing that you and your body is the temple, and through you can access this energy of God's bank, meaning an infinite source of income. Money is infinite because you can always create it. Anything that you want, anything that's once created can be created again, right? On an energetic expression. But you as the individual, as human consciousness, there's only one you. That's the power that we have of being human. That's the power that we have of being present in this reality. To make sure you're not a clone. To make sure you're not being a carbon copy out here. That's why it's beautiful to be your own act and not an actor. So when you understand how to access God's bank, it's heavily linked to your individuality, because your individuality can be found in your birth chart, right? That's one thing I love about astrology, when you deal with all the other sciences as well. Your cardiology spread, somebody else can share it with you. You get what I'm saying? Like your numbers, right? Your birthday, somebody can be born on the same day as you, right? It, a lot of things that we can actually share with another human being out here, even if it's something that we feel like is true to ourselves. Your sun sign, you sharing that. Your moon sign, we sharing the sun, we sharing nature, we sharing resources. But the only thing that's unique to you that you cannot share is you. And your birth chart is the one of the most like it's really one of the only tools out there that can say that this is your individual chart. Nobody else came out the womb of your mother at the same time you did. Nobody. Nobody was born in the same hospital room, right? And it's coming out the same bed at the same time that you did. So that is heavily linked to who you are and also what you are, but also the power of choice that you have and how you can choose to be what you want to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in. Let me get this PDF pulled up for y'all real quick. All right, let's go, baby. Wrong one. We don't need that one. We on the new moon now. All right, can everybody see my screen?
We good.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, the new moon in Taurus, y'all, it's going to be occurring now. Of course, I want to make sure that y'all had this PDF at least before the new moon, so you can kind of tap in and do these things on the ritualistic aspect for yourself when the new moon does come. And one of the main reasons was I like to respect new moon energy. As you can see, is sometimes I'll do a full moon workshop on the actual day of the full moon, because full moons are about liberation. Sometimes a full moon can have you up. Now, I don't know about y'all, but remember we talked about that last pink moon. All right, so a lot of y'all were in the last Pink Moon workshop. Now, if that Pink Moon activated something in you and you were up for a few days before, a few days after that Pink Moon, just put a 7 in the chat for me. I want to see something, because I promise you I was up. That mug sent the surge through me and I couldn't even sleep if I wanted to. So I just want you to be mindful, right, of how these moons actually can affect our nervous systems, and dealing with the moon, of course, your sleep cycles. All right. So with the new moon in Taurus, Taurus ruled by Venus, right, bringing attention to self-worth, values, money, pleasure, and the body. This lunation calls us to plant seeds that will fully grow and steadily urging us to build from the root up. It's hard to build from the root up if you ain't uprooted some shit. See, this why I was telling people, people have been doing that self-love work, getting to the core, really getting to their own values. Now's the time to implement your own value system. Okay? It's time to walk in all the shit you say you want. It's time to walk in all the shit. It's time to embody that. All right. So that's why the key words are going to deal with embodiment, resourcefulness, sensuality, worthiness, realignment, sacred slowness. Slow and steady wins the race, man. Like you can't tell a Taurus to move quick. You know what I'm saying? So, you even sometimes, because as human beings, naturally we can rush into shit that we not fully prepared for. It's not a bad thing, you know what I mean? But if you jump into something that's not in alignment with your values, I mean, how many of us have had many lessons around this, right? Jumping into something that wasn't really in your values, but you was all right with it, you tolerated it, you still wanted to show up and have the experience of it because a part of you wanted it. So this is everything that we say yes to right here. All right. Once you embrace that maybe your pleasures and your desires have led to a lot of your own demise, right? You can really stop being your own worst enemy. Now, when you're dealing with the sun, the moon conjunct Taurus, this embodies the yin and yang energy. We were talking about this earlier on Clubhouse, or yesterday, where you've been seeing a lot of people kind of talk about the push and the pull, the yin and the yang. This is basically dealing with the masculine and the feminine principle, of course. And when you deal with the yin and the yang, it's like the darkness and the light. All right, you got to understand that darkness is a form of light. People try to separate darkness from light, but really one is a byproduct of the other. You know what I mean? So because there is darkness, there is light. So light becomes the measurement of the darkness. So when you're dealing with the magnetism and the dielectric field of the feminine principle in the body, and how the solar principle dwells inside of this body via the heart, and understanding that our fluids act as a conductor. It's the same way how you can put electricity or certain things underwater and create electric shock. All right, you better not put no drop of something electric in water. That water will amplify and it will become fully electric. So the same thing can happen with your body. This is why Dr. Sebi talks so much about the electrifying or the alkalining of the body, which is heavily linked to the energy of Libra, which is ruling the kidneys, which is also ruled by Venus. So when you deal with this sun square Pluto and Aquarius, the evolutionary tension between stability and revolutionary reform, because a lot of times, you know, it's hard to create when you're drowning, and it's hard to create when you're analyzing every goddamn thing. See, this is what happens when we're in survival. So this energy, this dance between Pluto and the sun right now, bringing a lot of tension because it's saying what lights you up, what gives you vitality versus what drains you. You know what I mean? Cause imagine you've been going about certain things that paid your bills, but they were not fulfilling. You going to the job, you going to these environments, you doing these things out of scarcity and lack, right? Because our relationship has been distorted with this materialistic reality to where we think we have to do so much in order to have something. That's just been the flip, y'all. So this is how they're able to use the sun and also Venus, right? Which is also known as the morning star, because sometimes our values can take away from our vitality. Hence how you can see somebody get rich and they kill their goddamn self. I mean, we done seen it how many times. I mean, and we won't stop seeing it either. This is a reflection of that type of energy because our human appetite will never be fulfilled. Nothing can ever be enough for us as human beings. We will always want more. So when you're dealing with this moon and Leo opposite Pluto, the explosive force between self-will and the self-wills to shine and the collective demand to evolve. Because everything ain't always about you. So it requires an integration process. Now, a lot of this energy has been going on because Mars and Pluto have been in a dance for about the last damn near 2 years. All right, it's been a lot of tension going on between Mars and Pluto. All right, like especially over the last 6 to 8 months. So a lot of this tension has resulted in a lot of the internal conflicts around the solar plexus. This can also equate to indigestion. This can also equate to people moving. This can equate to people dealing with issues around courage or even finding more courage to break away from things that no longer serve them. Because Pluto is your hidden power, and Mars is how you yield that hidden power. Hence, Mars and Pluto have a relationship with Scorpio. And Mars still rules Aries, which rules the face. And you just brought this out of Cancer, which was still water and earth. Now you got fire and water, fire and earth, right? So a lot of these energies are now starting to subside because Mars is about to not so much oppose Pluto anymore. So a lot of these tensions and a lot of these things we've been witnessing, even with the gun violence and fighting and just the compulsive energies, the anger, the bitterness, a lot of these things are going to subside a little bit, but it still won't take away from the fact that people are still dealing with themselves on an individual level. So just like I've been saying in these past few workshops, be mindful of arguments and unnecessary tension and bullshit, because people are ticking time bombs. And once again, if it's not worth dying for, don't be ready to go all the way with motherfuckers, because, you know, some motherfucker ready to die for less, way less than what you think you willing to die for. All right. So that energy is going to deal heavily with the alignment of where we're headed. Even with the energy of the that demand to collectively to evolve. Now, when you deal with this frequency of Taurus rules the throat chakra, but it also vibrates deeply with the root chakra when the new moon phase. So because of the new moon, this is gonna have a lot to do with the root chakra. Because Mars, when you deal with the aspect of this Taurus and the throat chakra, Mars dealing with the solar plexus, and you also coming in with the moon, which deals with the waters of our body. And a lot of times the lower back and the lower extremities of the body, right? This can be heavily connected to the hormones and how we begin to move energy up the sacrum, up the spine. All right. So the energy has to start somewhere and it has to find an even flow or a harmonious flow to move. So when you deal with the recalibration of the voice and the soul and the foundations of the physical self, so your voices could be changing. I know my voice is changing. Now, every time, like during certain moon cycles, my body does weird shit, but I always know why. So this is just to help you understand why your body's doing what it's doing, right? So even also on the external level, right? So treat your goals and relationships sacred, right? It's sacred soil. It's like not casting, trying to cast seeds or plant seeds on infertile ground. That shit ain't gonna work no more. Meaning that something is not reaping benefits. What in your life is a money pit? What in your life are you constantly paying on a monthly basis that is not actually giving you anything in return? What are you barely using with these subscriptions and all that kind of stuff that you might have on your phone and all these quick clicks that we can have, and before you know it, they got all your information because you're gonna got sucked into a commercial. An old cat told me, don't watch the commercial, just buy the product. Meaning, if you pay attention to the product and not the commercial, sometimes you might realize you don't even need that shit. See, this is Taurus. What is it that you really don't need? What is it that possesses you and you think you possess it? All right. Because the calibration of that has to happen with the mind and the heart coherence with Mars and Leo encourages courageous self-expression, while Pluto in Aquarius pushes for detachment and systems thinking. So from the hive mind, detaching from the herd mind, these energies invite us to balance heart and head, the personal will and the collective intelligence. Because once you lean out on your own understanding, you tap into the infinite intelligence, and this is when you can pick up on other motherfuckers' thoughts. So that field of receptivity, the toroidal field, the Taurus field, being able to illuminate and feel somebody else's energy, even if they just look at you and you way across the room. That's the energy I'm talking about. You walk into a space and you don't even see this person, you don't even know this person, but you look up and you make eye contact. You're like, damn, they watching me. That's the Taurus field. Okay. So imagine being able to yield that field. Imagine being so in tune with that field to where you know what's your energy versus what somebody else's. This is what's awakening. Imagine when you walk into a space and instead of you feeling drained and down, that you regulated yourself in such a way to where you say, "Uh oh, that's what their energy is fucked up." And somebody like, "How you know that?" Because I feel them. See, this is why anybody got Taurus children, they feel shit. And I thank the beloved Rena joined, and my beloved Nisi, she's a Taurus sun and moon, and she feels every goddamn thing. She just loves to hug, and but when she don't know you and she can't feel you, she is not fucking with you. But if she love you and if she know you and she's comfortable, oh, she might hug you 10 times in a day. You be like, damn, why she started hugging me? See, that toroidal field is about sharing. See, that's why Tauruses can have issues with sharing, but in actuality, it's just like you can have your own, because I can want my own. See, that can deal with the possessiveness, right? So when you talking about planting shit on infertile ground and loving people who are not receptive and the shit is not reciprocal, you see Libra coming into play? And that's gonna lead to a toxic experience, Scorpio, every time. And it's gonna transform some goddamn body. Somebody gonna get transformed, or somebody gonna get hurt. Somebody might go to jail. Hell, in some instances, somebody might get killed. Crimes of passion and shit. If I can't love you, nobody else can. So I'm just telling you how Taurus can play out with this Venetian energy, right? So be mindful of these type of things during this season with all these influences, crimes of passion, um, side chicks and main chicks and side dudes and main dudes getting into it or becoming friends. Ain't no telling there. It just depends on how we sharing in love. That's why Pluto is gonna awaken the rebelling against these systems, all right, and the systems thinkings. So these energies invite us to balance heart and head, the personal will and the collective intelligence. And that Pluto square suggests deep purging of power distortions, especially around how you manifest, earn, and protect your resources. Meaning that just because you feeling like you can't pay your rent, does that make you still not powerful? Just because you looking around and you might not have what you want to have, does that take away from your power to create? When you look at your bank account, it might not be where you want it to be. Does that end or does that rob you of your power of just keep going and making things happen and putting the work in and knowing that you are building towards a foundation, building towards a goal, a vision, and nothing's gonna stop you? No matter what you have or what you don't have, you can find gratitude. See, these are the type of energies that we're facing right now. And a lot of people, I'm gonna tell you, might be going through a lot of financial hits during Taurus season. So it might be this fluctuation with your finances during Taurus season. Now it's gonna be a lot of rewards that's coming because this is a pinnacle season. See, so you could be reaping the benefits, but even the Taurus energy always puts some hard work into play somewhere. All right. So when you're dealing with this, the energy is inviting us to balance the heart and the head, and also protecting our resources and all that good shit. Even on the biological, even on the emotional, energetic aspect, Taurus rules the neck and the throat and the thyroid and the jaw and the vocal cords. So expect energy around voice activation, thyroid regulation, stress response, emotional eating, and nervous system sensitivity. All right. Because Mars opposite Pluto is going to deal with the adrenal stimulation, the fight or flight response may be heightened. All right. And it's going to disseminate over the next couple of weeks when Mars moves out of opposition with Pluto. All right. So just pay attention to your body, your anger, your temper and shit over the next couple of weeks. Now the Sun square Pluto in Aquarius. the ego and transformation, because people could be fighting against what they think is themselves. And it's like being able to drop what you think is you, being able to surrender into something new that you might not have a logical explanation for. The hell, it could be even fearful moving into, because you're used to certain patterns and certain ways of doing things, even having a certain relationship with your resources, with your money, with your finances. All right. So that aspect of stability, as we deal with this squaring the triggers, this power struggle in relationships, and also because that Pluto and Aquarius wants to revolutionize systems, and Sun and Taurus wants to preserve comfort. You see what I'm saying? So people could be fighting for comfort zones when it's time for the revolution to be fucking televised. See, this is why you gotta watch who you tell your plans to right now. Cause you might fuck around and share something with somebody, then before you know it, they're trying to sabotage you. And this can have a lot to do when I was talking about being able to know that you can be in a gestation with what you're doing and what you're creating. And when you're in a gestation, you need to protect that baby that you're birthing. So if a lot of y'all are birthing a baby and you might be feeling good about what's coming or whatever the case may be, just be mindful, all right? Y'all know I don't deal with fear. This is not a fear. This is a respect for the energy. You got to respect the shit out of a snake or it might bite you. You better respect water, it'll drown you. Respect fire, it'll burn you. Respect electricity or it'll electrocute your ass. It's not a fear that we have to have for anything in the mundane. It's a healthy respect for it. And once you're aware that something can hurt you, you have power over it. This has to do with people as well. Once you know that something can hurt you, you have power over it. I want somebody to post that or something. Somebody tag me in that. All right. So when you're dealing with these the upheavals in financial systems, relationships, and institutions, this is also going to deal with digital currencies or even value-driven industries. So psychological detoxes around survival fears and the fear of losing control. You know, this shows up in a lot of ways. Cause control can be what you think, and you know how you can do everything in your power when shit still is just like when they say if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. If you think it can go wrong, it will. Murphy's law, right? And you know how shit can be feeling like damn if you do, damn if you don't. Like everything you're doing is just not working at all, and everything is just not going your way and shit. Like energies can work that way. And this could be setting you up for something greater. But if you keep settling and you keep fighting and you keep going against yourself, yeah, that fear of losing control is that fear of surrender. That's all the fear of losing control is. Accepting shit you cannot control. So when you let go of what you think is you, and when you let go of what you think you have to prove who you are, it'll change every goddamn thing. All right. So this is like, being able to use this energy to release old structures that no longer serve you. And it's time to realign your security with your soul's evolution. Cause trying to stay secure where you at, you will never get to where you're going. I'm gonna say that one more goddamn time. Trying to stay secure where you are, you will never get to where you're going. You gotta be willing to let go and walk away from some shit. You gotta be willing to allow new things to come in. That means you gotta be willing to let something die. All right. So that's why when we deal with this aspect of deaths of the ego, especially in the areas where material security masks the soul security, all right? So that tension between ego and transformation, Pluto wants revolutionary system, the sun wants to preserve comfort. So we move into this energy of the explosive will versus collective reconstruction. This one I've been saying people got to pick a side right now. And what side are you on is just basically saying, are you on the side of humanity? Are you for humanity or against humanity? It's not even a hell of a side you got to pick. I ain't talking about picking friends. I ain't talking about picking none of that. That means if you're on the side of humanity, you need to stay the fuck away from people who are not. People who do inhumane things. People who lack compassion. People who lack grace. People who lack a level of being present. Who lack a level of reciprocity. who lack a level of walking in truth, justice, and honor, righteousness. Ain't no sense in dealing with them people. I'm telling you right now. The judgment is upon us type shit. You understand? Like, if this was a biblical time, you know it's got to be revelations. Because people are judging themselves. All them people crashing out. I'm telling you right now. You just don't want to get caught up in the crash out. So that means if you respect your environment, if you know you in your 50s, in your late 40s, and all this type of shit, why is you partying with 25-year-olds when you know damn well they lead the murder rate? Right. It's just certain things you just do not do. Okay. So this is the power struggle between the will and collective reconstructing. When the collective is going through a reconstructing, it's certain shit you just cannot do. It's just certain things you can be like, you know what, I normally would go here, but I ain't gonna even do it because at this point I gotta be more mindful of where I go and the people I surround myself with. Because a volatile aspect, this is expecting those sparks and confrontations. And those are creative bursts from the pressure. You know how I say it's pressure bust pipes, right? Even sometimes somebody can feel so much pressure, under so much pressure to create, to where you can create something and it's all out of scarcity. That means a lot of times it doesn't have any validity. It doesn't last long. It's not bearing any fruit. All right. So being able to remove those aspects from your psychology, even it's just as simple as this, right? And I said this in a clubhouse room. It's just as simple as you got $5 and you say that you're gonna choose to go to Wendy's and get a 4 for $4 versus going to the grocery store and getting you some bananas or some apples or some fruit. It's just a mindset thing, right? Looking at how much money you got and thinking about what you want versus what you need to be doing, right? So discipline now, pleasure later. So when we dealing with this energy and how these safety structures and realigning with your security and your soul's evolution is gonna be heavy on that. And the Mars and Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius, that will and that collective, because that Mars and Leo demands to be seen. That Pluto and Aquarius urges you to transcend ego and serve the collective. So it's like, do I need validation while I'm being seen, or am I doing this because it's who I am? Am I an actor or am I a whole motherfucking act? Am I a trendsetter or am I following a trend? Am I doing what everybody want of me or am I doing what I feel like is needed that the collective can benefit from that I just naturally bring? I'm not trying to be anything here. I'm not trying to fit in. This is not no illusion of inclusion. This is you knowing who you are and being willing to say everything ain't about you, but also knowing you got the power to take center stage. I have the power to lead. I have the courage to take over if it needs to be taken over. And it doesn't take away from who I am. If I'm around my peers, Aquarius, if I'm around people that didn't grow up or don't have the same amount of courage or clarity or confidence that I have, there's a reason why you're there. I know you might not like it. I know it might be uncomfortable. I get it, but I'm just telling you, this is a lot of times where a lot of us are placed in certain situations, certain environments, for you to be an energetic expression of all these things. So that's why I'm talking about work. I'm talking about the collective, and we're talking about peers, right? Because showing up in work and showing up in certain environments, this the reason why a lot of people start leaving the so-called corporate world when they become spiritual. It's just too much. It's just draining me. It's just draining me. Well, at some point, everything can't drain you. I'm just telling you. At some point, you gotta learn how to fortify and ground yourself so you can be more stable in this reality and not taking on everybody else's energy simply because you're centered and grounded in your own. That's it, right? So this is not a power struggle here. So when you're dealing with these global shifts, even dealing with the aspects on a spiritual level, this initiates the past. You must walk through the fire of ego purification to become a force of authentic change. And that's just saying that letting the energy purify you, purify the persona, letting the fire of that Mars with that Leo refine your heart, refine what you're connected to, refine everything that you so sensitive of fucking about. Everything that just strikes your heart, that just makes you ready to fight, that just pisses you off, that you just can't stand. That's Mars. Mars is everything that pisses you off. Okay. So this is also going to deal with some power struggles in leadership. All right, this can be happening at work or even in relationship dynamics, education, politics, even intense release of stored creative energy. So a lot of people could be going on a tangent about feeling like, damn, because I'm with you, I ain't been able to create because of this job. I ain't been able to create. No, it's because you keep showing up to some shit that you can't create. It's because you're not making time for yourself that you can't create. It's nothing outside of you that's stopping you from creating anything. It's your relationship to it. That's it. So when you deal with that deep craving for visibility or love or validation, but needing to transcend narcissism. See, I had to touch on this because, a lot of times people get so caught up in acting like they good, I'm good, I'm good, I don't need nobody, I don't need nobody. When deep down you want somebody. A lot of people are crying out and really upset when they really just need a motherfucking hug. You know how many people are really a hug away from just breaking the fuck down? You know what I mean? So that fire Mars, right? And it's like being able to align it with your creative pursuits is focusing on what you came here to contribute, not just how you want to be seen. Because this is why a lot of people attract the narcissist. You want it to be seen in some type of way. And the narcissist said, I got you, but you ain't gonna like how I'm attached to how I see you. You might not like my definition of how I see you. So the narcissist is always challenging the codependent person to honor how you see your goddamn self. So when you dealing with being able to channel the energy of Mars and being able to honor your willpower and courage, being able to stand up for yourself and being able to know that you are here for something, you matter. Your worth matters. You are worthy. You are worth it. You are smart. You's intelligent. You know what I'm saying? When you start embracing all of that, the narcissist has no power over you. Only way a narcissist has power over you is because some part of you believes what he tells you about yourself or what she tells you about yourself. This ain't gender specific around this motherfucker. And I tell people, our narcissist needs a codependent, and our codependence needs a narcissist. And when you look at those things about yourself, a lot of us can be very narcissistic with our goddamn self because we're codependent on comfort. All right. Now, the mundane and the collective influences, money, resources, and earth, right? With Taurus ruled by Venus, this new moon is squaring Pluto. Expect global shifts in currency, especially digital versus natural resources and value. This is also going to deal with land rights and food systems getting attention. So, pay attention to the land rights and all that good stuff. Buy what you can. If you can buy some land, buy it. It's a beautiful time to get some right now. All right. So also you're going to deal with a global shift. This is going to deal with the currency, especially digital and resource and values, land rights, like what I said, collective trauma healing around scarcity and the right to safety, technology and nature versus nature. A lot of people are going to be. It's a lot of people. I'm gonna tell you how simple this is. You can see it with people literally buying grounding mats. People are rather go spend some money on a mat than actually create 15 to 30 minutes just to go stand outside in some grass. It's just a lot of people that are investing in certain tools that they're buying when all they need to do is just be outside a little bit. People are trusting medications when all they need to do is just change their relationship with their foods. So this is what this is representing. All right. How our relationship with that relationship with our bodies can be very imbalanced when it comes to how we can trust technology versus we trust nature. And a lot of people trust technology before they trust their own nature. How many people put in a GPS to go somewhere and you done already been there at least 3, 4 times? That's the energy of what I'm talking about. So this has already happened. So let's not think that this is something that is on its way to happen. We already in the integration process of this energy. All right. Now, when you deal with the aspects of moving into the embodiment of all of this and the collective healing and the trauma, even the right to safety, even the Pluto and Aquarius transit the sun points to conflict and tech acceleration and natural embodiment. So the tech field could be experiencing some slowdown, some hits. So if you got um, stocks in tech field and things like that, don't invest too heavy right now. If you got opportunity to shift some stuff around, all right, move some stuff around. This is not an insider trade tip either. Okay, well it kind of is if you really think about it. But the tension that invites innovation through regeneration or regenerative practices such as ecotech, even sustainable development, and also sacred economics. So when you're seeing economical, technical applications and things that people can actually utilize that can help them make money on the spot, make money in 2 3 days just based off of being socially connected through the web. So it can change a lot of stuff if people really sit with it. And that's why when you look at a lot of these embodiments of the rituals and the aspects of how you can really sit with these forces right now and really look at how they're influencing you and your birth chart, is one of the main things I want y'all to focus on as well. And of course, I got something else I'll be tapping into once again that we'll be getting off into. But when you deal with some of the real life themes, um, shadow and self worth, that's gonna be you're gonna be confronted with truth and how much do you believe you're worthy of what you're calling in. I witness a lot of people that be like, wait a minute, I wasn't ready. People make declarations, they call stuff in, and then when it gives her the job, gives her the interview, gives her the opportunity, gives her, it's like, wait, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Pineapples, pineapples. Be careful what you ask for. Okay. Like this that energy of like you this the quantum leap. All right, now a lot of y'all were in the Quantum Leap workshop. I mean, I appreciate all y'all for showing up for these workshops, the ones that constantly support. Like that Quantum Leap workshop. We are here now, y'all. All right. So a lot of people that were in the Quantum Leap workshop that we did last year, okay? And when you coming into this energy, even when we deal with the Aquarian aspect, being able to concentrate and focus on something for a certain amount of time. And that's why that control versus trust. And that lunation strips away false control that asks you to trust, right? And then the evolutionary process. So that when we strip away all those fake control things that just want us to surrender, right? Those things that need us to have everything figured the fuck out, and then we can find a chill. When I know I can pay my rent for the next month, the next 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case may be. When I got enough groceries in the ice box to feed myself, the children, like all those different senses of false sense of shit. Then you sit down and you chill out and you still not happy, you know? So we talking about how we utilize this energy and how we allow shit to just be stripped away, right? And that's when we trust in the evolutionary process. So pleasure and power, pleasure is sacred, but where have we been using it? Where have we been using it to numb rather than heal? Because when you look at how we use pleasure to numb ourselves, just give me a drink, just give me a hug, just give me a blunt, just give me something to eat. Just give me some sex. Just give me whatever, and I'll be all right. What they say on Popeye, take these 2 pills and call me in the morning. You get what I'm saying? Like we always want something that can take away the pain, right? We don't like sitting with shit. And that's why a lot of our pain is internal because you keep running from shit that don't feel good. And then now we're in a place where people say that's a red flag now. But you've been in don't feel good situation your whole life. How in the fuck is being in one now is a red flag? Nah, you just ain't receptive. So opening up your heart will entail, and I'm talking about will literally enrich you and enhance your ability and your capacity to allow your mind to surrender. All right. So we're dealing with this pleasure and sacred, right? But where we've been using it rather to numb versus heal. And now we deal with and like when we deal with the integration process, the ritual down here is for that, so you can have that ritual for yourself. All right, being able to implement some of these things, dealing with the chakra work, the crystals, and all that good stuff. I like to include that, a couple of journal prompts to go along, just with that part of the energy, that part of the aspects of the PDF alone. So, anybody got any questions before I go into this next part? All right,
Just letting you flow.
all right, ready. Now, the next part I want to get into, you know, when we dealing with this Pluto and Aquarius and all these different energies that could be squaring or aspecting this new moon, this is what's calling what is creating what's called a T square. All right. So this T square is going to bring a lot of tension between sensuality, material security, and also where the moon intensifies these energies within itself. So this is about, it's time to plant seeds for long term growth, focusing on what brings genuine comfort and security. All right. Now, of course, with the Mars and Leo, we talked about a lot of that earlier, especially with the tension and desires for stability and the Earth's bold action. This aspect can lead to impulse decisions, conflicts, and if not managed mindfully. So, of course, with the Pluto and Aquarius square the new moon, you see that breakdown there deals with urging a revolutionary of a personal, a revelation of personal and collective goals. So when we're moving into this super new moon and the aspects of how Aquarius wants us to kind of honor those parts of the unseen. You get what I mean? Honor those parts of our own unseen power. So when you bring in Venus and Saturn and Neptune and the North Node conjunct in Pisces, all right, that Piscean energy is heavily amplified now. And Pisces, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of hidden enemies and shit. A lot of exes that could have been against you, right? You know how you can break up with somebody and you thought y'all was cool, but you might done found out that this whole time they've been hating on you, talking about you, trying to sabotage your name. I said sabotage on purpose, y'all. Yeah, cause people already trying to sabotage your name and stuff, You ain't done nothing but try to love them. You ain't done nothing but show up for them. You ain't done nothing but just appreciate them and honor them. And now here they is just acting like you the goddamn enemy. It's like, whoa, what the fuck I do to you? And I never knew I did anything to you. See, this the energy of being with somebody for years and they've been hating you the whole time. They've been in competition with you or some shit, right? They ain't ever want to see you shine. They just became so possessive and so passive aggressive to where you always question like, damn, I used to always wonder why they always did that to stop me from doing this, stop me from doing that, stop me from doing. So this can show up in a lot of different ways. Now this don't always have to show up in a person. You can feel like a job has been doing this, and sadly, I gotta say this with the Leo energy. A lot of people might feel like their children have been doing this. You've been seeing a lot of women kill their children. This is gonna amplify. I'm just letting y'all know, right? Because a lot of women are bitter, and you're witnessing a lot of women that are young ladies, all right, young ladies, all right, and they're upset because I know a lot of young ladies that's done dropped their children off at the damn fire department, right? Y'all could be surprised some of the stories I could tell you, but this type of energy gonna be glorified. I want y'all to be mindful. You might see a story soon of a child or something getting dropped off at a fire department or somebody. I'm telling you, this is gonna get real weird here with the way people are looking at their responsibilities and what they said yes to. All right, it's not these children's faults when we say yes to something. So of course, this next aspect is going to be breakdown on the rising sign. Now, of course, I won't read through all of them, because I don't want to keep y'all here all night. But when you're dealing with the first one, of course, it's going to be Aries. All right, and as you can see, going through these aspects of honoring how we can move about the self worth, right? The Aries automatically with this new moon is going to activate your second house. All right. So this is how you deal with the ascendant signs. If you have a Taurus ascendant, all right, Taurus rules your first house. All right. So you're gonna be up in the first house with this transit energy of I am. If you have a Gemini rising, All right, this puts Taurus over your 12th house. So this is a spiritual time of introspection and deepness for you. All right, when you're dealing with the aspects of a Cancer rising, Taurus is over the 11th house for you. So dreams, community, social networks. Also deals with the moon, and also the new moon squaring Mars and Pluto. So this is also community aspirations. This is also engaging with the social network and long-term goals. So you'll see this kind of coming into play with a lot of your long term goals that you might be wanting to achieve. Not being afraid to stay the course on maybe something that you have going on, or even changing the course real quick that can put you on a faster or a better track to create your goal or your vision. Could be happening right now. It's not like a derailment if you planned it. So I'm telling you, if you're not making this move and you don't make it on your own, by the time the full moon come into Scorpio, you're gonna be feeling like, damn, I should have made this move. Now stinging myself. All right. So the Cancer rising, of course, you rule the 11th house. Your Taurus energy rules the 11th. The Leo rising, your Taurus energy rules the first. I mean the 10th house. You have a Virgo rising. Your Taurus energy is going to be um, the Virgo rising is like ruling over the ninth house. Has a lot to do with that Jupiter and also Sagittarius expanding. All right. Now, when you have Libra rising, okay, this is also going to deal with shared resources and transformation around intimacy and all that good stuff. Of course, this is going to put you in the aspect of dealing with the sixth house, all right, with Venus and Pisces energy. They're playing out in your life, okay? So of course, when you're dealing with the Scorpio rising, like all these different things that you could be experiencing just based off your rising sign could be huge. All right, so you got the PDF. Make sure you go through there and look at there and see what you can see. Pull from it. Like I always say, take the meat, leave the bones. All right, I won't read through every sign. Okay, but just know with your ascendant, it's gonna tell you exactly where the moon is transiting in your birth chart. All right. Now, of course, here's a breakdown for the sun signs as well. And once again, I'll let you all look over those and look into those yourself. I don't want to read too much into all of that to keep y'all here all night. All right. But I will say that the Aries sun sign is going to deal with finances, of course, and self worth, material security, all that good stuff. When you also bringing in this energy of Taurus sun sign, this is the identity of the body and life direction. Gemini sun sign, focusing on inner world, subconscious healing, spiritual retreat. Cancer sun signs, focus on friendship, networks, hopes and dreams. Leo sun, this is also going to deal with faith, all right, and also focus on career, status, and life path. Okay, so when you coming in, what we got here is the next the Virgo sign. All right, the Virgo sign. It deals heavily. All right, we're dealing with this aspect of belief, higher learning, and also publishing, and travel. Now, when you deal with the aspect of the Libra sign, this is going to deal with a lot of intimacy, shared resources, and emotional transformation. Scorpio sun signs is going to deal with a lot of focusing on relationships, contracts, and unions. When you deal with the Sagittarius energy, this is going to deal with health, routine, and work. Also focusing on new habits, all that good stuff is gonna happen in with this Sag energy, and right, and so the wellness aspect, the routine is gonna begin with this. The Capricorn sun sign focusing on creativity, romance, children, joy. All right, the Aquarius sun sign focusing on home, family, emotional security. The Pisces sun sign is going to focus on communication, mindset, writing, and short traveling. All right. So that's just kind of some of the influence, of course. Make sure you read through those and check those out. Also dealing with this cosmic recalibration of stability and value and pleasure. Right. It's about planting seeds for lasting abundance, but not without releasing outdated ego attachments. Mars and Leo. right? And control systems, Pluto in Aquarius, that Venus, and also that Venus Pisces cluster invites divine creativity and compassion and karmic alignment in money and love. So this supporter to build heaven on earth, slowly with intention. I mean, who ain't down to build heaven on earth with a slow and steady pace because you got a goal? You're being very intentional. If you resonate with that, put an 8 in the chat for me. That's all I want to do. Put an 8 in the chat for me. Now, the midhaven aspects, because of course, can't talk about this energy of Taurus and the earth signs without talking about where you're going. And remember, of course, I've been talking about the midhaven over the past few workshops. This is a career, you can tell people that have been losing their careers right now, having to change careers in the middle of abrupt stops and all type of stuff going on with career changes right now. All right. People are rolling over 401ks to annuities and getting paid out, and even just getting just really just bombarded out of jobs, sudden changes in the work fields. I mean, people are getting new careers, new jobs. I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening in this corporate realm right now. This has a lot to do with your midhaven, all right, or your midheaven, okay? So these influences are out here right now. And of course, once again, I skim through these. I won't run through all of them. Now, the midhaven, of course, is going to be very influential, especially with that Taurus duad, all right, with that Taurus Capricorn structure, legacy minded, deeply focused on long term stability, on sustainability and mastery, all right, and a lot of this ego driven action, muster temper, impulsivity, and career or risk burnout, all right. So a lot of don't risk no burnout right now. I'm telling you, don't be, and that's just as simple as stop taking home to work and work to home. All right, let that shit stay on the job and let that shit stay at home. Okay. A lot of people burnt out too because you're doing something that your heart ain't really into. You're doing some shit to where it's for survival. And you feel like if you stop it, you won't be able to pay your bills, you won't be able to pay your car. No, look, that's a real fucking thing. And I'm not somebody who's so fucking spiritually grandiose to where I'm gonna tell you that you're not in alignment. Just because you got a job does not mean that you're not spiritual. Just because you out here working for your coins does not mean that you're not spiritual. I'm telling you right now. So don't get caught up in that jargon. All I tell people to do is just look at your job as a tool. You could be the CEO of a fucking company and be spiritual as fuck. I'm just telling you. So don't let nobody limit you. Don't let that mindset to where a lot of people in the spiritual community, right, start pushing on people about what you can do and what you can't do, and that's gonna determine whether you spiritual or not. Man, fuck them people, man. Telling you right now. You deserve what your heart desires, and you deserve to use everything that's out here to your advantage because that's what it's here for. All you have to do is just not be so emotionally attached to the experience of the fucking thing. That's it. That's it. Let the experience be what it is. Give yourself the authority to fire a job. Give yourself the authority to fire a job. Go in there and be like, these motherfuckers got 2 weeks to get their shit together. Hey, some of y'all say that anyway, but Pluto dictates that 4 years later, you still there. See, that's that energy. You've been wanting to leave, but I'm still here. I've been wanting to start my own business for so long. Hey, a lot of y'all have got readings from me, consultations, all that good stuff. I'm telling y'all, if that is on your heart, I'm telling you to take that leap now because when these influences take over and they start making decisions for you in these areas, you're not gonna like it. It's not gonna feel good. I'm telling you right now. All right. So embracing the energy of this midhaven um, could be very beneficial right now, especially when it deals with your legacy, how you move about that. Remember, just look at your legacy av and all that good stuff. You're looking at your 10th house. All right, being able to understand where your midhaven is, where everybody midhaven sits in the 10th house. So whatever rules over your 10th house, this is 9 times out of 10 what your midhaven is. All right. So again, legacy, focus, and all that good stuff. What you'll see, I got listed here is what you want to focus on: entrepreneurship, leadership with the Aquarius. I mean, with the Aries midhaven. You'll see the Taurus midhaven is going to be beauty and consistency, wealth and mastery. Gemini midhaven is going to be communication, networking, media. You're going to deal with the Cancer midhaven is going to deal with nurturing, home-based business, career professions. The Leo midhaven is going to be leadership, creativity, also legacy through performance and spotlight. The Virgo midhaven is going to be very heavy to deal with the aspects of realignment, also service and practical systems, right? And that they've lost. So it's gonna be a hell of a time for all of us when it comes to the integration of what we know we're here to do and walking in that unapologetically unashamed, so we can build our own legacies, per se. And I'm not somebody who's big on a lot of these words, but just for contextual purposes and knowing that there's something in your heart that you want to do because there's something that you're here to do. All right. These influencers can tell you a lot about why you feel what you feel, but how you yield that feeling, how you yield that thought, how you yield that emotion is you. Okay. So of course you deal with the Libra aspects, justice, you're dealing with diplomacy and also brand elegance. The Scorpio midhaven is also going to deal with the creative transformation and all that good stuff, even the psychological hidden power. It's a trip, man. But even dealing with those diamonds, when she first, coming out with bringing out the new transformation of the self. When they talking about the carbon-based diamonds and all the things they've been coming out with transforming minerals, and so you've been watching a lot of this technological aspects with even with the hidden powers of the financial wizardry, right? Being able to use cryptocurrency, something you can't see, but turn it into something else, right? So that's the power of taking something dead and finding life in all things. All right. So even there's a power of life that continues even in death. Of course, you see the Sagittarius midhaven that deals a lot with the global influences, higher learning, freedom-based careers. Capricorn midhaven has a lot to do with authority, discipline, and also business mastery, also structural legacy. The Aquarium midhaven has a lot to do with the invitation of the rebellion, and it's also the humanitarian when you're dealing with tech and legacy. Now, Pisces Midhaven can also deal with spiritual leadership. This is also creativity, hitting or healing music, dream embodiment, all that good stuff is felt by this new moon energy. So that's just the ascendant and also dealing with the sun sign. And of course, I have one more, which would be the moon signs. And of course, once again, I won't read through them all per se. I'll let you all run through that and check those out. But those moon signs are going to be heavily influenced based off your mood, based off of how you might be feeling. Of course, with the women, with your menstrual cycles, even with men, the way you can be dealing with hungry and your sleep cycles, hungry and your sleep cycles, even dealing with the aspects. Are you still waking up with an erection? All right, just not to get too, we ain't gonna get too fried tonight up in here. But when you're dealing with the aspects of how your chemicals are reacting to nature, my brothers. All right, so being mindful of that. This is why a lot of men get their prostates checked when they reach those up in those early 40s or mid 40s or whatever the case may be. So the sun signs are going to be very heavily influenced. I mean, the chirons are going to be very heavily influenced. I went to the moons a while ago, my bad. But the chirons are going to be heavily influenced with this. This is one of the main things I want to touch on as well. So knowing your chiron, all right. And remember, chiron is your gift to humanity, and it's your gift to the world. All right, so Chiron in Aries transit is personal healing and also identity wounds and courage, right? And it's like this, all these things are taking center stage right now. This is going to be this new moon cracks open old scars, right? This is also going to deal around survival, mastery, stability, even self-esteem. Hmm. That is wild, right? So this Chiron energy, y'all remember, is our gift to the world. So the death and the rebirth of our values and intense identity transformation, the wounded healer aspects, the place where pain transforms into mastery and gifts, I tell people Chiron is the energy of you practicing what the fuck you preach. So just look at your Chiron and what's associated with it. I guarantee you, because when you turn your Chiron around, it opens up the door for more money. Like it literally does. I mean, Chiron opens up the door and it allows you to explore the endless possibilities that your gifts can bring you. It's like when the scriptures say your gifts will make room for you type shit. Like that's Chiron. So if you stop giving away what people are naturally drawn to you for, that Chiron energy just comes online and begins to serve you. All of your wounds turn into wisdom. All right. So explore your Chiron. Look at what's going on with your Chiron. See how it's being influenced. All right. And of course, I have the influences listed here on what I pull from and what I can see could be there, especially around the Taurus. Now, the Chiron and Taurus generation, I kind of wanted to put a heavy influence on you all. All right, and I'm a part of that Chiron and Taurus generation. I'll get to that in a second. But when you look at these core wounds, right, and you look at the self-identity feeling good enough, right, Chiron and Aries, right, and then you got that gift is inspiring others through raw authenticity and fearless leadership, right, Chiron and Taurus, self-worth, survival fear, scarcity consciousness, right? So when you deal with the gift, it's deep wisdom about the value and sustainable abundance. So this is my natural gift to the world, and also the value of the self and all that good stuff. Now, of course, keeping it simple. All right. But when we deal with the Chiron and Gemini, wound around communication and feeling misunderstood. All right, this new moon is going to be your inner voice, need to express desires for around wealth and also value and also vision. So it has a lot to do with how people are expressing themselves right now. So just pay attention to your Chiron, dive deep into your Chiron, look at it, check it out, right? See what makes sense. Even if your Chiron is in the house of one of these energies, like my Chiron is in the house of Virgo. So I add that to my wound too, not to give myself extra things, but just to actually go ahead and utilize the layers. Anybody that's taking my astrology course, anybody that knows how I layer this information, we don't never leave anything out. So automatically, if I got a sixth house stellium with Taurus in it, right? Virgo is heavily influenced in my chart by Taurus because my sixth house is ruled by Taurus. All right, I have a Sagittarius rising. Okay, so that dealing with perfectionism, self-based worth, and healing workaholism and scarcity, and tied to being useful. Because I like to say some of us can have a need to be needed. You know, And it's like sometimes we can try to be so useful to other people where we're no good to ourselves. And I'm gonna tell you how dynamic this can be. Imagine when somebody done worked their whole life and it's time to retire and they don't even want to leave work. Like they just like shit, they ain't got nothing else to do with their life. This is what happens when you fall into a routine or some shit, right? So sometimes people don't struggle with walking away, they struggle with breaking routines. So once again, check out your Chiron. I want to run through them all right? For time's sake, I don't want to have y'all in here all night once again, okay? Now, one of the main things I did want to focus on was this Chiron and Taurus generation. And these are the people born between 1977 and 1984, and also in the late 90s. All right, so some people, because it came back, the nose always returns. So in the late 90s, around 96, I think to 98 or something like that, you will see this gap of these young children that were born during that. I think it was like 95, 97, something like that. Yeah. But when you deal with that gap, all right, of how the lunar nodes were in a certain position, you know, this can be heavily influential on how we deal with this Chiron and Taurus energy right now for people who were born during these times. All right, so these are some ways that you can kind of focus purely on the Chiron and Taurus energy for those of you who are a part of that generation. Because we are the ones that carry the deep collective rooms around creative, or around security, resources, and also dealing with the survival and self-esteem, and also dealing with and feeling safe in the body. So this is why I already know when it comes down to it, being at home in the body is like our all of our plights, all everything that we're moving to walking to achievement, or I would say ascension and all that good shit. All right, but this also requires that we be grounded in our bodies, that we honor this human experience, that we honor our stability, that we know that we don't have to do everything, we don't have to be everything. Just being you is enough. All right. Now, the next thing I want to get into, as you can see, we're gonna talk about some of these ways you can utilize these energies to their highest potential. This is a table here that you can have inside of the PDF, and you can see, as you can see, financial healing, create new habits, saving, investments, passive income, breaks free from money fear, break free from money fear, even the body grounding. Talked about that, somatic. Uh, Somatic therapy, body work, nature immersion, yoga, even reconnecting with the senses and the sensual pleasures. There's also self-worth themes, affirmation, shadow work, all that good stuff. Even with wealth legacy building, you could be that going through that as well. Um, Let me see here. See, because I like that right there. Uh, Okay. Now, of course, I want to get off into the chakra activation, of course, and how this will be dealing with the system and the body and all that good stuff. And how, we got to govern this nervous system. Y'all know I got to add that dynamic. I have to give you out that part, right? So this new moon, of course, with the chakra activation is the root chakra, the muladhara, the base of the spine. This is also going to deal with govern survival, financial security, and basic needs and feeling safe. See, Taurus and Earth sign rules the physical body, possessions, and comfort, right? So this super new moon intensely shakes the strengths of the root chakra, meaning, right, deep survival instincts and fears may arise to be healed, right? Healing focusing on grounding your energy, especially when it deals with to stabilize your body and finances, facing survival fears, right? Lovingly. It's like knowing it's a fear. Once you know the name of something, you can have the antidote for it. Hence the opposite of Taurus, once again, a Scorpio. Once you know what's poisoning you, you can know the antidote for it. This is why you got to get to the root of some shit so you can know exactly where it's coming from. That's the only way you're going to transform it. The sacral chakra is taking a hit, of course. Venus dealing with conjuncting Saturn and Neptune, the North Node in Pisces, right? That's where the sacral chakra kind of being sensitized here. Even blending these emotions with structure and density. So focus and worthiness, strengthening your emotional resilience, the the manipura. All right. The manipura is the stomach, the abdomen, the fire, the willpower, the self-esteem. That Mars and Leo square the new moon, right? That's that personal power, the personal power struggles. So you may feel a little tension between safety and self-expression, all that good stuff. That could easily like be popping up with no problem, especially when it comes to food. Okay. Now, when you deal with the heart chakra, all right, of course, we're dealing with the intimate energy of air. Of course, you got it governs love, compassion, forgiveness. Pluto in Aquarius, square the new moon, pushes radical transformation of the heart wounds. All right. And this is going to be opening up a portal for us to be able to drop the charges, like I like to say, of condemnation. So anybody that's living in your head, living in your body rent free, it's a good time to release that energy. All right. And that has a lot to do with those two pictures that I have right there in there for you. So if you look at those charts and look at those charts, you'll see some of the biochemical properties, all right, that can be impacted. And you'll see the neck and the throat ruled by Taurus, thyroid hormone imbalances, energetic blockages may cause sluggishness, overdrive, and metabolism. All right. This is also vital for energy regulation. All right. So just be mindful of that. Okay. As you are moving about, trusting your body and honoring being at home in this body and implementing more breath work and somatic grounding techniques and feeling, even feel your feet pressing into the earth. And so, of course, there are some techniques. Of course, some magnesium could help you out heavily right now, especially with the muscles and the regeneration as well. All right. Now, that's where some affirmations are here for you as well. I am safe to build and grow, right? My body is my home, all this good stuff. So don't be shy, I would say, and don't be reluctant to utilize these gifts that you have here, all right, that can help you regulate your nervous system and keep yourself grounded, okay? And of course, there's another picture that you could add or look into, I would say, that deals with a lot about you being grounded once again. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about was God's Bank. Okay. Now, how many of you ever heard of God's Bank? If you ever heard of an energy called God's Bank, I want you to put a nine in the chat. All right. You know, when you're talking about the eighth round, right? It's like accessing the eighth round of infinite abundance. I mean, this was so very fitting because when you access the eighth round, God's bank, just elevating your consciousness, letting go of fear and lack and limitation. These are the lower dimensional illusions. The eighth dimension is, and now, I don't nobody talk about the eighth dimension. So, I'm gonna post this. I might post this one little page here, but don't nobody talk about the eighth dimension. Okay, people talk about the fifth dimension and all this other stuff. The third dimension, 3D, 4D, 5D. There's other dimensions that exist. All right. So the eighth dimension is heavily accessed through high frequency emotions, love, gratitude, faith, and trust. Aligned with divine identity, right? When you are not separate from source, y'all know I had a hand in there, right? You are an extension of it. The eighth round responds to the soul, not the ego. Abundance is your birthright, not a reward. Say that one more time. People say Saturn is karma and rewards, and we've been so trained to think that if I don't work, I don't eat, and I don't put this energy out. It's not. It's this is a birthright, not a reward. Okay, so when you're talking about stealing the mind and opening the heart through meditation, visualization, and stillness, right? You bypass the noise of the 3D, work and feel your way into the energy of abundance, and you see and feel what already exists there. Then you magnetize it there or here. Now you speak the language of the realm, words, right? Throughout words and thoughts and currency, right? Shape, they also speak abundance and affirm your divine inheritance. This has a lot to do with the Scorpio Taurus axis. I am tapped into God's bank. All I need flows to me in divine timing. So take spirit, right? Take spirit led action. I love to say you aren't spirit led, you are spirit. So if you take spirit led action, that means you're moving as spirit. You're moving one with the spirit, one with the essence of God. All right. So downloads come from their realms. It's like nudges and ideas and synchronicities, and honor them. When you feel a nudge to do something, create something, say something, right? Share your gifts, right? So move and trust. When you're aligned, even with your smallest steps, opens the gates. It's like faith without works is dead. Faith, right? Can you have faith in the unseen, right? Can you take a leap of faith? Or do you need something there to prove that you're doing something right? So this is also going to activate what we know as the fortuna or the fortune placement in astrology. That placement is found in your chart when you fix there. A lot of people don't really talk about this placement a lot. You might hear some people bringing it up. But this energy is going to activate your fortune placements. Okay. So if you don't know your fortune placement, don't be mad at me. Go look it up. You got a book here now to reference what it means. It can tell you a lot about you. So this super new moon and this Fortuna is going to be very heavy, especially with this Taurus Earth energy and building stability and long term investments, and also mental security and value and creation. So the super new moon heighten new beginnings, right? So this is also dealing with that square Mars and Leo and all that good stuff, all the stuff I've been reiterating all night. All right. So when you deal with bringing something to them, right? When you deal with being able to kind of relinquish whatever you think you know, whatever you no longer need, and tap into the skills that you have to naturally just bring money to you. This is your fortuna or your fortune placement. Right? How you can look into your birth chart and look at where this fortune placement in, what house is in, what sign is in, and you begin to look at those layers and say, okay, if you have a fortune in Aries, right, that means your skill set is in pioneering, leadership, and courage and quick action. So career focus will be around entrepreneurship, leadership roles, sports, activism. Wealth tip could be swift, like act swiftly. All right, don't waste time. I move into it, move about it, do it damn near because it feels good type shit. All right. Now this is gonna be the theme as you can go down for all of the fortune placements. Okay. So I just wanted to put this in there for those of you who are not even understanding of your fortune placement, don't even know where to look to find your fortune placement. This is a good time for you to get to know your fortune placements. Okay. Anybody got any questions about the fortune placement? About the series. I mean the aspects of unlocking God's bank. Anybody got any question about the chakras?
No, but that fortune was fat though.
Yeah, So find your fortune play. Do you know your fortune?
It's in Taurus.
Okay. So let's check out yours real quick, my brother. All right. So skill sets around steadiness and resource management and aesthetic appreciation, career focus in finance, real estate, art design, food industry, wealth till build wealth slowly but surely, savings, assets, tangible investments. So the new moon work set up a physical reminder of your abundance, plan, vision board, savings jar. All right. So the highest octave is what I want to add as well. All right. You was creating legacy wealth, right? Things that grow value over time. Do that resonate with you, my brother?
Perfectly.
I read it. So, all right, make sure y'all check out y'all fortune placements, okay? Of course, I don't want to run just go to speaking to all of them. We'll be here for another hour if I do. But I really want y'all to really understand it. And before I go, like I said, before I get off into this, I know this that God's run that God's bank. I wanted to make it simple, especially with understanding how to elevate your consciousness and just aspecting certain aspects of your birth chart, tapping into your fortune placement, and you'll be able to see how to utilize these tools. Also, under this new moon, it's a good time for money spells. All right, so this could be a money spell right here. Some tools. I got a couple of money spell aspects in here actually, but if you utilize the green candle, brown for stability, gold for legacy, pyrite is a money magnet, green aventurine for growth is also a money crystal, citrine is for money and abundance, and black tourmaline will help ground the ritual to ground those crystals. You can deal with some basil for abundance, cinnamon, right? That's for the speed and the bringing the sweetness of it. You can bring mint for prosperity. Patchouli will bring the earth and connection. Patchouli is a very powerful sacred herb. All right, these are simple herbs that you can find, and you can get those anywhere. Even if you don't have them in an herb, you might have them in essential oil. All right, put them all in one essential oil. If you have any of these essential oils, all right, anoint your candle in them and all that good stuff. All right, and light it up. All right, light it up for this new moon energy. And now, remember, you got the ritual and all that type of stuff. Now, this is also going to deal with the astrological concepts of God's bank, is what I want to tap into as well before I let you all go, since nobody have any questions. All right, so God's bank symbolizes the eighth dimension of frequency. So this is of infinite provision beyond linear time and logic and effort and astrology, and this connects to the eighth house, the house of inheritance, the opposite of Scorpio, right? Energetic wealth. See, the full moon is coming up here. A lot of people have been experiencing a lot of death. I'm telling you, it's a good time to get life insurance. If you do not, even life insurance could be your own bank. Anybody know about IULs, annuities, or how to tap in and roll your 401ks over, and how to invest into your insurance policies to where you can become your own bank and pull money in and out of your policies? See, it's a good time to become more financially literate, because this is going to deal with deep soul contracts also as well. The Taurus and the Scorpio axis, material versus energetic abundance. This is going to deal with also with Jupiter saying, I'm just talking about your inheritance. I'm just talking about what's owed to you. That's it. Right? So that Taurus and the Scorpio axis, material versus energetic abundance. Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto, the planets of expansion, divine connection, and power. The Midhaven, the MC, and the North Node, divine purpose and soul direction, and also the transits, right? So the transits, progressions, and eclipses. This is also going to be heavily influenced with the energy of this new moon. All right. So being able to use timing, God's timing, I like to say, time and place for everything. You know what I'm saying? So timing mechanisms to unlock these blessings. That's why you'll see a lot of people into it right now because the timing might not be good. So dealing with the birth chart, dealing with how to understand the second and the eighth house is what we're gonna be looking at if you want to help access your God's bank. Now, once again, this is for the people who paid in full. And if you do wish to pay the $99 in full, I will be giving you an astrological breakdown of your birth chart and helping you understand how to utilize your God's bank in your own chart. From my perspective, and I also be adding into that how to kind of access your money houses, which is your second, your fifth, and your 10th house. All right. So that's for those who paid in full. You'll be getting that breakdown. And even if you do like a nice donation or something, I might not give you a full one, but I can help you out. All right. So if you are interested in that, all right, make sure you let me know. Otherwise, you will have the PDF either way to check it out. Now, when you're dealing with the eighth house and the second house, this has a lot to do with the signs, and also what these houses are ruled by in your chart. Okay, so knowing what your second house is ruled by, what your eighth house is ruled by, being able to understand how these energies have kind of just been maybe used against you per se, right? Which is going to share that experience. Eighth house is shared resources, other people's money, and all that good shit. So inherited resources, transformation, quantum access to abundance, even finding your values and dealing with self worth and ability to receive. That's one of the most powerful things I had to learn how to do is receive. Right now, I'll be like, shit. I don't even. I'll be so grateful with just receiving and just grateful for whatever people give. I'm just so thankful. So now when you're dealing with their ruling planets or whatever's over their houses in the second and the eighth house, you want to look at that. All right. So Venus in the eighth house, trine Neptune in the fourth, that's spiritually inherited wealth, ancestral blessings, right? This is also through emotional healing. So these are dealing with trines and how we can implement sextiles. And so when you start to understand there's certain things in your chart that will always dictate why you get your way, right? It's a trip because some children, even a lot of us, the children, had certain traits and certain aspects in our chart, and no matter what we did, we had a certain relationship maybe with our mother, our father, somebody, to where we always got what we wanted from that person. Like that shit is a trip, all right? So when you're dealing with Jupiter, all right, the cosmic benefactor is also gonna play a part in this. All right, so this is where Jupiter, as your chart shows you, where you receive blessings easily, right? That's your abundance gateway. Jupiter is your abundance gateway. I'm giving y'all some good shit right here now. All right. A good way to look at your chart, understanding the abundance in your chart, right? Neptune, right? So it's just like even if Jupiter's transiting your transiting your MC, that's bringing a lot of touches with Jupiter. Jupiter can expand and enhance a lot of shit when it's transiting anything in your chart. So Neptune, your divine flow and faith. Neptune shows where your trust and unseen determines your outcomes, right? Strong aspects to Neptune or the moon, it amplifies intuitive wealth and also spiritual integration. So Pluto deals with the energetic wealth and power. All right. Pluto, like, yeah, I'm just the hidden resources and karmic treasures. And, in the second and the eighth, it can mean powerful financial shifts through surrender, transformation, and control over fear. So even the nodes of your soul's currency, right? Your north and your south node, your north node, direction of your soul. what is called her to feel, what has been called her to be, right? This can equate to how the South Node deals with past life memory, right? But potentially, it can also bring in something that, when it ain't your fault, but the past life memory of it keep playing out. So if you don't break that karmic loop, this has a lot to do with your north and your south node. So being able to utilize these energies to kind of open up your gates of your God's bank per se, open up the vault. All right. Venus governs money, love, and value. Chiron is where unhealed wounds may be unlocked, where wealth, the reception, and dealing with the Fortuna, the Abundalita, and the Vesta. I don't really deal with the Abundalita, but I had to put that in there because there is a such thing as an asteroid that can tell you about abundance in your chart. I'm able to look at your chart and just give you a lot of those aspects without even knowing what an asteroid is. So your Vesta can tell you a lot about that as well. All right, that's a kind of sacred portal. Your Vesta, and anybody that took my astrology class, you learned about Vesta. You know what Vesta is. Even in some of my readings, I might not specifically tell you that I talking about your Vesta, but I probably talk to you about your Vesta. All right. Now, when you're dealing with the spiritual realm, your chart shows soul contracts and abundance, wealth, especially when activated when you align or when you live in alignment with your soul. All right, and it's also when your soul's blueprint. So it's also a quantum leap into wealth. This is also going to deal with, often bypassing logic, you being able to be transparent and all that good stuff, being able to honor the mundane world, being able to tap into the second house, being able to how you manage money, work, self-value, the eighth house, how you access your access to investments and other people's money, partnerships, the midhaven, the MC, career flow, divine recognition, Saturn transits show you where discipline brings reward. That's why I always tell people discipline now, pleasure later. All right. So this is what, another way where you can understand how to access God's bank. All right. And there's also a ritual that you can tap into, all right, that you can utilize and write down some of these journal prompts as well. Get some of these candles with the colors on them and all that good stuff. So you already see, when we talking about summarizing it all. All right. Now, before I get into the summary, anybody got any questions about what I went over? All right. Birth chart is your celestial ATM card. I'm gonna say that one more time. Y'all can stamp that. Your birth chart is your celestial ATM card, right? Your second and your eighth house access points into that. Your Venus and your Jupiter, your Neptune and your Pluto and your nose are your divine bankers. Your transits like the new moon and Taurus open the vault days. Understand what's going on here. Once you see where this moon is transiting inside of your chart, you'll see where it's opening up your vault. All right. What gifts are being opened up? What is it you need to be more structured and more stable in that area? See, a lot of people talk grounding and stability, but I'm telling you where to look in your chart, beautiful souls. And it's also in your heart. It ain't just in your chart, it's in your heart, baby. Oh, I need to coin that. Somebody coin that for me. It ain't just in your chart, it's in your heart, baby. All right. So when you talking about your birth chart is your celestial ATM card, your second and your eighth house are your access points. Your Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune, Pluto, and Nose are your divine bankers. Transit like the new moon in Taurus, open up the vault days. Spiritual plus mundane equal the key to divine overflow. One more time for the people in the back. Spiritual plus mundane equal the key to divine flow. There is no separation between the two. So let's not live in separation. Let's live in wholeness, beautiful souls. And of course, here are some ritualistic aspects to where you can have, of course, one ritual is going to help with your nervous system and just kind of dealing with the energy overall, grounding into that. All right. Then the next one is going to be a money ritual. I got a money ritual in here for y'all. Money ritual, money ritual. All right. Now, what I will offer is anybody who's interested, inbox me on Instagram if you want to do a collective money ritual night on Zoom. to where we all get on Zoom and we all light our candles and we all do our abundance and like right on our bay leaves. If y'all want to do a collective thing, for those of you who want to participate, inbox me on Instagram, all right, and I'll put that together. Okay, it'll be free of charge. All right. So if y'all want to participate in like a mass money ritual where all of our energies will come together and we can even write down the same numbers. So we can do a collective money grab, all right, with this door that's open. All right. And then what you would do is use the theme of whatever your Taurus energy is in your chart. Meaning go to that house, go to that placement, go to understanding what that degree is, right? And if you need help with that, you want some one-on-one, of course, you get an individual reading. And if you want to get the full breakdown for yourself, right, before the new moon, because I'm gonna try to have all y'all stuff before the new moon, before Sunday. So I'll be working on some of y'all stuff tonight, and I'll be finishing up before Sunday to make sure that y'all get those. That's for the people who paid in full. All right. So I will be sending you a breakdown. So you'll know exactly what to do when it comes to your second and your eighth house and how to access God's vault or God's bank. All right, because your birth chart is your ATM card. I want, I'm still, if somebody gonna start saying that shit, but a lot of my intellectual properties are already out there. As y'all know, I say fuck them people. Okay. So when you
I'm gonna say
access to
it, but
this
I'm gonna
energy,
tag your name in it.
what you say?
I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna tag your name in it.
I appreciate it, my brother. Now, when you access this bank, now don't forget about Sensei. Okay.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
Now I'm glad. Now anybody before, because of course there's the rituals, and of course, happy go outside tonight and see. Can you look up and see that smiley face? Now you know what's going on with Venus and Saturn and the Moon aligning. It's a releasing of memory. It's a releasing of something that you can let go, so you can smile about some shit. Drop the condemnation of the heart. Drop those aspects of Saturn that's L and Venus dealing with your demons and the very same things that you have been holding on to in your heart, right? So allow the condemnation of your heart to fall. Allow this doorway to be open so you can walk into the abundance that is your birthright. That is not something that you have to work so hard for. All right. Now, anybody got any questions about anything that I went over or anything y'all want to add before I let y'all go?
I have a question. I couldn't unmute before, but the part of fortune, is that the circle with the cross? Like the,
Yes, exactly.
okay, okay, mine's in the eighth house. Okay, all right, thanks.
Oh, yours being activated. Because in the eighth house, that's Scorpio. So we know that your fortune is in one of these houses that can activate a vault to your wealth. Okay. So what is your fortune in? Let's look at it real quick. Do you know what it's in? I know you said it's in the eighth house. What zodiac sign is it in? You trying still trying to come off mute? Okay, well you'll get back to it. You have the PDF.
It's
Now anybody
Aquarius.
okay,
Sorry,
you good. You good. So that
Aquarius.
means that this is about innovation and group work, humanitarianism, technology, career focus, tech, social movements, innovation, astrology, wealth tip. Wealth grows by aligning with the future trends and group needs. New moon work is going to focus on future oriented goals with new technology, new social roles. Highest octave will be innovative wealth, income streams that benefit the collective. All right.
All
So
right, thank
that has a lot to do with your individuality showing up in the monster in the midst of your peers and not being afraid to deal with something around shared resources and bringing occult knowledge out. That's the eighth house. All right.
yes, thank
So
you.
occult knowledge and astrology could get you paid.
That's what I'm. Okay, yeah. All right, that's where I've been at. That's right where I've been at. Okay.
There you go. So y'all see how it lines up. So go look at your fortune. Look at what's opening up in your vault. And if you want the full breakdown that I can give you and provide to you, remember, just hit me up and let me know, and we'll make that happen. All right.
Okay.
Hey,
Anybody else got any questions? Who was that?
somebody, quick question. Could you help me identify my fortune in my chart? I just sent it over to you.
Hold on right quick. Where you seeing it at?
Text message. Is it in the ninth house?
Yep, ninth house.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yep, ninth house. And you see over there, you got that in the ninth. Yep, that's in the ninth. So automatically you see how what's ruling over that? That's Leo and that is Virgo. All right. So that is yours is in Virgo.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Can you hear me? I
Was
was
there
also,
somebody else trying to talk?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, Zuri?
I was just trying to find out. So the fortune is a point, right? It's not an asteroid. It's not it's more like an aspect, right?
Yeah, it's more like an aspect. Exactly. It's
Between
it.
some.
Yeah, it's almost like a node, right? So it's a point where something met, right? So that's where at the time of your birth and how those points between those a lot of times you'll see the fortune matches your midhaven. A lot of times it matches the ascendant. It just depends on what it's aspecting. And when those 2 points met, you get your fortune point. So when you meet a house with that aspect or a house with that sign, then that's what creates your fortune aspect.
Okay. I had to look and find it. I also had a question about when you're opening your heart, what do you think is most influencing like closed heart energy and like how to open it? Cause I feel like you touched bases on it, but I don't think we specifically said like what influences a closed heart.
The fear of losing something. And at the aspect of it on the purest form, on a simple form, it's the fear of death. It could be the fear of dying or the fear of letting something die. That one energy can perpetuate into a fear of being without, a fear of somebody walking away from you, a fear of not being valued, a fear of not being honored, a fear of not being seen, heard. It can perpetuate into so many different ways. That's why you get over to the individual life and you get to the root of why you feel the way you feel and what is stopping you from being receptive to love and being open to receive the abundance that is your birthright, right? And that has a lot to do with the value system too, Zuri. Has a lot to do with what we've been taught, how we've been taught to feel, how we've been taught to try to be. So it's a lot of programming that's within that. So that's why I love to say or deal with the ambiance of a human being, because I don't know what influenced you. I don't know what's on your heart. I don't know what you're condemning. I don't know who you condemning. I don't know what's going on in there until you express it. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that right there is an individual thing, bro. It really is. There is no one answer for that. Because how am I to tell you how to express the matters of your heart? Nobody can tell you that. That's why the heart is ruled by Leo, which is the will. That is your free will. So that's why we all can have a willingness. And when we don't have a will to live, who can stop you from killing yourself? Like when you want to go kill a bunch of people, who can stop you? Like if somebody just it's why we witness the thing we witness. Somebody just make up in their mind they just want to go get a gun and shoot a bunch of people. We can only react. How can you get into the mind and the heart of another human being to know what's there? Unless you get close, unless you feel, and that means you got to show a level of care. And a lot of times we can get caught up in catching somebody else's shit with that to the point to where you'll become the point of their fucking anger because you haven't allowed them other outlets to express it. So this how sometimes we can try to be a hold on to somebody and be present for them, and we can become a crush for people. And then your aspect of trying to love somebody, those good intentions can pay the road straight to somebody else's hell. So I just gave you the flip side, or even on how we can be too loving, too nurturing, too overbearing, to the point to where you can make somebody not like you. So it's a lot of different ways we people can deal with the matters of the heart. So that's why a lot of times that does require a one-on-one conversation. And that's when people mostly feel safe enough to let you know what's really on their heart. You get what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the question. Anybody else?
Um, it's not really a question. It's more so just insight. Um, my part of fortune and my what is it? My Chiron are in the same house in the same sign.
Wow. So that means you got a lot of abundance in your wounds, right?
Mm,
If you were to activating, I tell people all the time, activating your Chiron activates your North Node, but for you, activating your Chiron will actually activate your fortune as well. So what is your Chiron?
it's Cancer.
Oh yeah, that's mother wounds, right? So
Mm,
we know that, around the nurturing, and now when you bring that as a gift to the world, and when you begin to be a nurturer and know what you can, know your power of nurturing and self-care and all the things you can bring to another person's life, you don't run from that. It's just embracing who you are and knowing that you deserve to get paid for the shit too. you know
mm,
so
mm,
emotional security, abandonment fears, new moon focus, building inner emotional safety regardless of material status, right? Potential gift, empathetic leadership and nurturing financial ecosystems. So setting emotional boundaries, practicing also self-soothing and to avoid emotional spending or hoarding. So
mm,
that can be something that could be picked up from the mom, a lot of emotional baggage that you could be holding on to. So this can also be a counselor into helping women, nonprofits, and children, and so a lot of that can be a part of how you can get paid. It might be something that you do naturally, help people, counsel people, all that kind of stuff. Have a natural affinity to help out mothers, single mothers, and all that kind of shit, but it's like, okay, are you getting paid for all these services that you're showing up for? Or are you just doing it?
mm.
So create an LLC, create a nonprofit, put a price on it, the money gonna come.
Okay, thank
Now, anybody else?
Can fortune be expressed as part of fortune? Is that also the same thing as what you're talking about?
Oh yes, that's the main thing, because once you expressing what's in your heart, that is art, right? And once you know that your life, this life is the canvas, and you are the painter, you are the one holding the brush. So your whole life could be a work of art. You see what I'm saying? Like that's another way you express that. Even the heart, the heat art. So how you yield the matters of your heart, how you
Mm.
make people feel, right? The expression, the feeling. That's the Taurian energy, the energy of doing something that's in your heart that you love to do. It would naturally create magic and create art.
Art. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my part of fortune says Aquarius in the first house, but it's the same as my Pluto.
Oh yeah, so that means that's a hidden transformation. And once you transform those aspects of your individuality that can fit the needs of the collective and not rebel against showing your face and not rebel against owning your power when it comes out to the power of transformation and using occult knowledge, even using astrology, right? Using these type of things like technology, things like that to help transform other people's lives, right? Creating new innovative ways for people to transform through social media. It's very indicative of why you work with technology the way you do and why you want to do things on a spiritual level with it the way you do, and why it could be always a hidden message around the I am or around the self. You see what I'm saying? And that could be a part of where you get your money.
Wow, it's so fascinating. Thank you.
Ain't that shit dope?
That's crazy. I mean, like crazy, crazy. Like
Yeah, right.
especially where we at now in time. Like,
Hmm.
I'm just now earning these powers, and it is a transformation because I never saw myself as being an engineer for web design and all that stuff. Like I always just thought I was going to do music for the rest of my life. That's all I ever wanted to do. So now it's like how to blend it, and then the spiritual aspects. All of that started with Clubhouse, bro.
Yeah.
It's
Social. Aquarius. Social. You see? And not only that, when you got this in the first house naturally trines the ninth and the fifth. So
Mhm.
Once you show up in your power, all your creativity, everything that you ever done in your life will make sense. Why you ever did music, why you ever traveled, why you ever went to school, why you learned the shit you learned, everything. One day you gonna wake up and have an epiphany and be like, this is why I've been doing everything I've been fucking doing my whole life. You probably already had it.
Not fully.
Yeah, it's coming then.
Much love, y'all. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
How is the Lilith energy activated in this Taurus new moon?
The Lilith energy already was activated during December to me,
Oh,
right? This when I did that new moon. We had two new moons in December that started off this new year, the calendar year per se. All right. So
okay.
now when the shadow work has been done, okay, when you know your power, when you are not relinquishing your creativity to the social constructs, and when you're no longer fighting, when you know that you are the bag, when you know that you when your creative power is what you dwell in, right? You don't relinquish it for aspect of pleasure or somebody else's or to make somebody else happy or some shit like that. When you know your power, when you're not giving it away, and also when you're not abusing it or trying to use it in a grandiose way, and when
Hmm.
your worth shows up and it's back with that, that's where Lilith comes into play.
Okay. No, it's been my favorite word lately.
What's that? No.
No, it's been my favorite word lately. Yeah.
And what's your Lilith?
Taurus.
There you go. Cause you could have been sharing like a motherfucking Lilith, like you want your own shit.
Right.
You could be dealing with relationships to where you realize you sharing somebody that ain't really what you wanted to do, all type of shit. So there could be a lot of games played around your values, but now if you stand on business around your value system, yeah, this new moon, that means that the new moon is going to be influencing any. Now, I'm glad you asked that question. So anybody with any Taurus placements, this is what the new moon is going to influence. I don't care what your Taurus in. That motherfucker be in the north node, south node, and whatever you got going on in the second house, this new moon is going to influence your Taurus placements and your Taurus degrees. All right. So that would be a second degree. So if you have a 2 degree, a 19th degree, okay? So that's 2, 19. And somebody tell me what's 19 plus 12. We got some math people in the house. 19 plus 12. Anybody?
31.
19 and 12, 31, right? So that means that the only 2 degrees that we have that can kind of fit a tyrant energy, all right? Because basically you're going to deal with 2, 14, and 26. All right. So if you got degrees in your chart that are 2, 14, and 26, all right. I just wanted to add, I was just trying to see who was awake real quick with that math question. Appreciate that answer. But the Taurus degrees are 2, 14, and 26. So if you have any degrees in your chart that are 2, 14, and 26, this new moon will aspect those degrees as well. Okay. So for those you be like, I don't have no Taurus in my chart. I don't have nothing in my second house. I don't have nothing. Like, you find Venus, all right, find whatever Taurus rules, because you have a house lord and all that good stuff. So it could be dealing with a lot of different aspects, and for you, yeah, it's gonna be influencing your Lilith for sure, brother. Anybody else? All right, beautiful souls.
Appreciate you,
I,
Sensei.
I
Enjoy your
appreciate
night.
you all for y'all time, y'all energy, all that good stuff, man. Hopefully, y'all can take some of this with you. Of course, I'm pretty sure you will. Of course, you all will get the replays. And remember, for those of you who do want to go ahead and get a full breakdown, make sure you inbox me. Make sure you text me if you have my number. We'll make that happen. And this replay will be coming to you, and it would also be on YouTube as well. So I appreciate you all for your time, your energy. Appreciate you all who will listen on YouTube in the future. And if you need any of my services, make sure you reach out to me at divineselection.net. And also, you can reach me at my email address, which is dwightjolly007 at gmail.com. And make sure that you do get the scheduling in if you want to get a reading. And let me know you listen to this workshop. Let me know you were present if you want to schedule a full reading. And I will gladly give you a discount for being here. So I appreciate you all for your time, your energy, and may you all embrace new beginnings and open up God's bank and know that your birth chart is your cosmic credit card. Peace and love, beautiful souls. Namaste.
Peace.
Thank you. See ya.
Peace.